Today we'll be talking about Dreamworks' How to Train Your Dragon Trilogy. Since the third film of the series just came out on video, our review of How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World will be spoiler-free as usual. But in order to discuss the trilogy effectively, there will be some spoiler talk for the first two.
I don't know why you'd watch a review of an entire trilogy without having seen at least the first two, but hey, it's your life.
In 2010, Dreamworks released a fantasy adventure about a boy and his dragon by the filmmaking team of Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois. DeBlois? Look, I don't care if he's Canadian, I'm just saying DeBlois, okay? I can't do it. I just can't do it. Anyway, Sanders and DeBlois previously wrote and directed Lilo and Stitch for Disney. Ow. And I firmly believe that How to Train Your Dragon is one of the greatest films ever made.
Okay, I like the first movie. A lot even, but I would not go that far.
On its surface, it's a simple story, beautifully rendered into animation thanks in part to visual consultant Roger Deakins, who helped the film push the boundaries of what animated CGI features could look like in terms of their use of lighting. It has wonderfully sweeping flight sequences that made great use of 3D cinematography shortly after Avatar's release in 2009, but the movie's greatest strength is its smart, funny, and emotionally complex script, which makes Hiccup and Toothless two of the most lovable characters in recent memory. Your heart breaks for Hiccup as he grapples with the decision of whether or not to kill the dragon he's captured. Your heart swells as they slowly but surely become close friends, and then cement that friendship in an adventure that changes the hearts of his dragon hunting clan of Hollywood Vikings. That How to Train Your Dragon works as well as it does is a testament to the old adage, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's a familiar story, but it's told perfectly and accompanied by a gorgeous career-defining score by John Powell.
I'm gonna kill you, dragon. I'm gonna cut out your heart and take it to my father. I'm a Viking. I am a Viking!
The lighting is really good, but the design of the movie otherwise is pretty meh. Most of the human characters' designs are kind of goofy looking, and their movements are really stiff. Toy Story 3 came out the same year, and it blows this movie away visually. And with the exception of Toothless, the designs of the dragons are a mess.
I like them.
If you locked me in a room and asked me to even vaguely describe the big evil boss dragon at the end of the movie, I would remain in that room forever.
What is that?
Odin, help us.
It's kind of like a cross between the 1998 American Godzilla and the original Pete's Dragon, but mean-looking. You're right, though. The Red Death is little more than a plot device, but I don't think it matters that much, because I don't think the big bad dragon is the real antagonist of the film. It's Hiccup's father Stoic and the rest of Berk's intractable mindset about the creatures. The first one is all about Hiccup and Toothless's friendship, and so for me, having everything else be an afterthought isn't a problem at all. The fight with the Red Death is the event that Stoic needs to realize he's been wrong.
I'm sorry. For everything.
What is a problem is that the villain of the second movie is also pretty poorly fleshed out. Let's back up for a sec. So the first film was such a critical darling and a solid box office success that sequels and a TV series extension were quickly announced, with Dean DeBlois taking over the reins for the rest of what was now described as a trilogy. DeBlois made the ambitious and commendable decision not to simply do the further adventures of Hiccup and Toothless, hoping to instead push the story into new, more mature territory.
So 2014's How to Train Your Dragon 2 ages up Hiccup and the rest of his clan, and in the process they improve almost all of the character designs. Though the secondary dragons from the first movie still look dumb and they're kind of stuck with that. The biggest change is that the level of detail in the backgrounds and the textures has been up dramatically since the first film. This movie looks amazing. Thanks to Hiccup and Toothless, the town of Berk has fully transitioned from dragon hunters to dragon riders. though it's never really clear what they ride the dragons for, other than playing weird games. Do they herd sheep with them? Do they fish? They don't seem to do anything Vikings do, like pillage villages. Pillage villages. Pillage villages. Pillage villages.
The point is, they have a peaceful coexistence with the dragons as semi-domesticated beasts.
But other humans want to use dragons for more nefarious purposes.
Enter Drago Bloodfist, the only significant role for a dark-skinned person in the entire trilogy, and he's evil.
So this is where the story goes. Drago wants to control all the dragons using a massive bewilderbeast alpha. And then there's this crazy awesome Miyazaki-looking dragon lady who turns out to be Hiccup's long-lost mom, Valka. And then in this huge battle against Drago and 2 massive bewilderbeasts, Stoic gets killed by a mind-controlled Toothless. And so Hiccup has to step up and become chief.
Even though Astrid is way better suited for the role than him?
The stakes are higher, the impact is greater, and the action is awesome. Everything is so elevated from the cute kids adventure of the first movie. How to Train Your Dragon 2 is epic.
Dragon Riders coming through!
Cut them down!
Aaron, son of Aaron!
For sure, that's what they're trying for, but the plot and themes the sequel is trying to tackle are so much more grown up and complex than anything in the original, and it tries to pack all that into a film that's just a hair longer than the impeccably paced first film, that I barely register the emotional beats before we're ushered off to the next, and that effectively undermines the second film for me. Parts of it work, but on the whole, it just doesn't hold together.
Well, I loved it. But in any case, this brings us to the third movie. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is even more beautiful to look at than the second. Set 1 year after the events of the second film, Berk has turned into a dragon sanctuary, rescuing and protecting dragons from other warlords who want to turn dragons into weapons, or simply kill them. But this has made Berk and Toothless, the new alpha of Berk's dragons, a target. Now there's a new villain on the scene. What's his name?
Grimmel.
A warlord who wants to kill all Night Furies. For some reason. And alongside these events, Toothless happens upon a female Light Fury, and romance ensues. Sort of. But who is what's-his-name?
Grimmel.
Other than a reason for the good guys to run for their lives. It's so weak. As strong as the hero's story is, the movie never convinces us that what's-his-name
Grimmel
is as much of a threat as Hiccup acts like he is, which is a little disappointing.
Very disappointing. It's the justification for the entire plot of the movie. Just like with the second movie, nothing that happens in the hidden world is bad. The problem is that Hiccup takes such drastic actions that you need the film to make a convincing argument for them. It tells us Grimmel is the greatest threat they've ever faced, and proof that threats like him will never stop threatening Berk, but it doesn't convincingly show us that.
Obviously, I disagree with you about 2, because it's awesome, but as far as the hidden world goes, yeah. Most of the movie doesn't earn it. Except for the last 10 minutes. This ending is basically a wrecking ball that destroys everything in its path. And the beautiful thing is that no one is safe. Huge fans of the franchise, people that wandered in off the street having never seen the first one, doesn't matter. You're dead. Dead. That's how gorgeous it is, in its self-contained destruction. It's a real, authentic moment, and those seem to be fewer and fewer in film these days.
It's a tearjerker for sure, but I couldn't help feeling like it would have worked even better if the rest of the movie setting up that final scene had made more of a persuasive argument for the necessity of it. For me, the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy is one timeless masterpiece with 2 enjoyable but flawed and ultimately disappointing footnotes.
I agree.
Huh?
But one of those footnotes came first.
That's not how footnotes work, Kurt.
Dragons aren't real, Jason.
Hi, I'm Jason. Thanks for watching, and please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got more Multiplex 10 in the works. Hopefully, we'll see you again soon.